And suddenly we did a theater. That was like a step. And then we had a 45 record, Love Me Do. And that was like, oh, we've got a record. I mean,
Ringo Starr just turned 85, but his birthday celebration left fans worried. The Beatles drummer broke down in tears during his annual Peace and Love moment. He had to cancel shows in Philadelphia and New York because he got sick. Doctors told him to rest, but he seemed to have deeper issues. For the first time, he talked about mourning John and George during his birthday speech. His voice trembled as he spoke. Many people are concerned about what is happening to the last surviving Beatle. Early life, bombs, loss, and a rhythm that saved him. Richard Starkey was born on July 7, 1940 in Liverpool, a city often threatened by German bombs during that summer. His parents tried to stay calm despite the chaos around them. Richard's father, Richard Starkey Sr., worked as a baker but left when Richard was just 3 years old. After that, only Richard and his mother, Elsie, worked hard to support them. She did cleaning jobs during the day and worked as a barmaid at night to pay for their rent and food. In 1944, they moved to a less expensive home. When Richard was 6, he had a serious health problem when his appendix burst during surgery, causing a dangerous infection. He fell into a coma for several days, and doctors worried about whether he would survive. He spent almost a year in the hospital, away from his mother. When he finally came home in May 1948, he was 8 years old and behind in school. Despite these struggles, Richard kept going. At 13, he got help to catch up on his studies. However, in 1953, a tuberculosis outbreak at his school affected him badly. He spent 2 long years in an isolation hospital with no friends and no classes. One nurse gave him a mallet to tap on a metal cabinet, which he enjoyed. Another worker gave him a copy of Bedtime for Drums, which he played over and over. It was the first thing he truly owned. Richard grew up in Dingle, one of Liverpool's roughest areas where gang fights were common. He joined a gang to fit in and stay safe. Despite being small and quiet, he suffered a severe beating from other gang members, which made him uncertain about his place. Music became his escape. At 16 in 1956, he got a job as an apprentice machinist at a factory. There he met Roy Trafford, who loved skiffle, a mix of jazz, folk, and blues. They played music in the factory basement with their co-worker Eddie Miles and formed a band. For Christmas in 1957, Richard received a second-hand drum kit from his stepdad. 2 months later, he joined the Eddie Clayton Skiffle Group and performed at the Cavern Club for the first time on July 31, 1957. Richard's factory job, combined with his music gigs, brought him happiness. By November 1959, he joined a band called the Hurricanes, which soon changed its name to Rory Storm and the Hurricanes. This is when he took the name Ringo Starr. He liked wearing rings, and Starr added a bit of glamour. He enjoyed taking solo turns, especially with the song Boys by the Shirelles. By 1960, Rory Storm and the Hurricanes had become the top band in Liverpool, drawing larger crowds than even the Beatles. The Beatles era, from Hamburg. Chaos to global hysteria. In October 1960, the Beatles played in Hamburg, which George Harrison called the naughtiest city. The band partied a lot, and Paul McCartney and drummer Pete Best were almost arrested for a silly reason, which led to their deportation on December 1st. On October 15, 1960, Ringo Starr, who was with Rory Storm and the Hurricanes, joined the Beatles for the first time. By 1961, they recorded Cry for a Shadow, while Ringo thought about moving to the US but felt connected to Liverpool. In early 1962, he filled in for Pete, and by August 1962, Ringo officially became a member of the Beatles after Pete left, despite protests from fans. Recording sessions were tough at first. Producer George Martin temporarily replaced Ringo with Andy White, which made Ringo feel humiliated. However, during the prank-filled tours in 1963, he earned the band's respect and developed a unique drumming style that was key to the Beatles' sound. In June 1964, Ringo got sick with tonsillitis before a world tour and was temporarily replaced by Jimmy Nicol. He was upset to be away from the band, but eventually rejoined them in Australia, even though he was still not feeling well. On February 7, 1964, the Beatles landed at JFK Airport, and 4,000 fans screamed before they got off the plane. Ringo became a popular figure during Beatlemania, but there were risks. On June 13th, during a layover in San Francisco, 500 schoolgirls surrounded him, and some fainted. Police had to protect him from being overwhelmed. Even though he smiled and said, "I enjoy it," the pressure grew. While filming A Hard Day's Night in 1964, Ringo's humor shone, but he felt worn out. A 1965 trip to the Bahamas was supposed to be relaxing, but it became tense due to local resentment and security concerns. The Manila concerts on July 4th to 5th, 1966, turned into a nightmare after backlash for missing lunch with Imelda Marcos. At the airport, there was no security, and they faced threats from men in fake uniforms. They paid 74,450 pesos to leave safely. By 1967, the recording sessions for Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band made Paul feel isolated while the others experimented with LSD. George noticed that the band no longer felt united, with Paul at the piano and Ringo keeping the beat, even though their music relied on his rhythm. On August 22, 1968, Ringo left Abbey Road after Paul criticized his drumming on Back in the USSR. Feeling unwanted, Ringo found comfort in Sardinia, where he wrote Octopus's Garden. He returned on September 4th to a warm welcome from the others. In 1969, Yoko Ono broke the band's no wives rule by bringing her hospital bed to the studio after John's car accident. Ringo tried to keep the peace but noticed a sour mood as drug issues came up. On September 8, 1969, Ringo was hospitalized, prompting Paul, John, and George to think about finishing Abbey Road without him, realizing it could be their last project together. Ringo saw John go through withdrawal and felt helpless. In April 1970, Paul announced his solo career, surprising Ringo and leaving him feeling lost. By December, Paul sued to end their partnership, upsetting John and George. Ringo later expressed his hurt in his song Early 1970, reflecting on his strained relationships with the band. Money problems added to the complications with delayed projects and financial disputes. There was a brief chance for a reunion on August 1, 1971, at George's Bangladesh concert, but John canceled at the last minute, and Paul did not show up. Ringo played with George, but it felt more like a farewell than a reunion. Solo career, triumphs, failures, and rock bottom. In March 1970, Ringo Starr released an album called Sentimental Journey. This album featured cover songs and reached number 7 on the UK charts, selling 500,000 copies in a short time. However, after Paul McCartney's solo project and the Beatles' breakup, Ringo's success slowed, and the album never went gold. In 1973, Ringo released Photograph, which he co-produced with George Harrison. This album topped the charts in the US, Canada, and Australia, selling over 1 million copies. Ringo formed the All-Star Band in 1989. At first, people mocked him as a has-been, but he continued to celebrate his music for over 30 years. In 1998, Ringo released Vertical Man, which included contributions from notable artists. While making this album, he faced financial struggles that led to some funny moments, such as a cello performance from the lady collecting studio rent. Ringo appeared in the 1969 film The Magic Christian, but the film was controversial and received criticism. His role in Caveman in 1981 resulted in a broken arm, but also led to his marriage with co-star Barbara Bach during challenging times. In the 1970s, Ringo tried his hand at furniture design, hoping to create a luxury line, but it did not succeed. He narrated Thomas the Tank Engine from 1984 until 1989, when George Carlin took over, disappointing some fans. Many problems, including a troubled marriage to Maureen Cox, marked Ringo's personal life. Affairs and substance abuse marked their marriage. They divorced in 1975, and the settlement provided for their children. By the late 1970s, Ringo's life had declined due to cocaine addiction, leading to an overdose in 1978. In 1988, he realized he needed help and sought rehab. He also faced legal battles with Maureen, showing his struggles with alcoholism and how it affected their family. Recent years: cancellations, mourning, and resilience at 85. In 2024, Ringo Starr, then 84, was still touring with his all-star band. Unfortunately, illness forced him to cancel some shows, including one in Philadelphia. Fans felt disappointed because he had completed 10 out of 12 fall shows, reminding everyone how precious time is for music legends. On July 7, 2025, Ringo's 85th birthday was celebrated in a big way, with Beverly Hills declaring it Ringo Starr Day. During his emotional speech about peace and love, he remembered his friends John Lennon and George Harrison. NASA even shared his words to the moon, showing his lasting impact. Despite some expecting him to retire, Ringo announced 2 upcoming country albums in 2026. including one with T-Bone Burnett. When asked about retirement, he jokingly said his kids were tired of that question. In 2025, his charity, the Lotus Foundation, raised funds for cancer research and addiction support through fun events such as a Las Vegas spin art show. However, some concerns arose from the Pandora Papers about offshore trusts managing his royalties, raising questions about his finances. Ringo decided not to comment, letting his charitable work speak for itself. Ringo's journey from Liverpool to being the last surviving Beatle shows his strength and kindness. At 85, he continues to focus on music, honoring his friends while looking forward to the future. What stands out about Ringo's spirit? Share your thoughts in the comments, and please like, subscribe, and click the bell for updates. Thanks for joining me. See you next time.